Hi, I'm Josh and you're watching Beekeeping in Canada. So today I'm working with a much nicer day. It hit about 12 degrees out today, so that's really nice. You can see the bees are actively foraging on the feeders, and the sun is shining today, so that's a really nice day for working bees. It's a little bit later in the evening now, about 6:30, maybe closer to 7, and I just need to get through about 16 of the hives I didn't get through on the weekend. Today's going to be a little bit of a happier day since the bees are able to fly around to get through those hives. So I'll take a look to see what they have as far as food stores inside the hive, and we'll also give them two different types of patties, both the global patty and a ultra bee patty. Still a little bit of pollen left in this one. This side is a little bit weaker, and this side still has good 4 frames of bees. This one's looking like maybe 3, but it's tough to tell when they're so close together or when they're so spread out and covering multiple frames. So what I'm looking for today is just looking to see if these outside frames still have some feed in them, and also just double checking to make sure they're not too packed with feed so that the hives or the hive can't expand at a rate that it should. So this one has 1 full frame of feed, and then this frame is relatively full of feed as well. Third frame in, I would prefer it not be full of feed, and if it is, we'll take one of the feed frames out and give them another empty frame. But this one, they've got that one side empty and they've got room on this side for that queen to expand her nest into, so I'm quite happy with the way this one is set up. So we'll just put all this back inside. And move on to the next one. So this hive pulled this outside frame, like this is the stronger side, pulled this outside frame, and there's actually a few dead bees on there. But the hive itself, the frame itself is completely empty. The next frame in is also completely empty. These ones badly need some feed. Glad I put some pails on them in the past, because yeah, it'll have 3 frames packed with brood. This one, the queen is definitely laying on that frame. She's right there actually in the center of that frame, and she's laying away on there. So we got to give her some feed, some feed for her to work with. So I'm just going to grab some feed out of one of the dead outs and put it in there. Yeah, this hive was on the edge of starvation, but it's a really strong hive, so put in a frame just completely packed with feed, and that'll give them a week. Really shouldn't be handling these strips with just these gloves on, but not going to be in contact with them for too long a period, so I'll take on that risk. So give them another full patty of the global and a half of the Ultra B, and that should keep them for a bit. You guys hear that? Kayla has a burger for me. So we're gonna have to pick up the pace here. So this particular colony looks like an absolute beauty. It's nice and strong. Starting to get a little later, so the bees are less than impressed with me. This one also has, it's got one side with feed on it, but this one has some feed on it as well. And a good amount of space on this third one. We'll leave that one be. This warmer weather softens up the propolis. When I was working on, one of them got in my boot, stung my heel. When I was working on the hives on the weekend, it was cool out and just absolute garbage weather, actually. I tried making a video, but my tripod stand fell over, and my sound might not be the best today because I actually wrecked my my wireless mic receiver on that tip over. So you can imagine that added to my impressed attitude for the day. We got 2 full frames of feed in there. And this one's pretty much empty. There's feed on the outside, so that's perfect. They can expand into that third frame. Use some feed from the fourth and fifth. So we'll leave them be on that as well. It's actually not the best hive. It looks much nicer. That's the thing about warm weather. It makes those hives look much nicer, but this one's actually 3 frames and 2 frames. So about the equivalent of a 5-frame single, just it's got double queen power. So it'll take off fast now that we've got some warm weather coming in, or warmer weather coming in. Pretty much taken down both the patties. Gave them a pound, so half a pound of each, and they've pretty much taken it all down. Leave that across there, and just put this one on top. Give them something to work with. Doesn't have the insulation on it. Not a very great hive. Very few bees in that side, or in this side here. Very small colonies on both sides. Feed in there. Ditching that scraper because that scraper is too rough. It's not sharp enough. So we'll do this one instead. Just takes more passes. Keep them a little calmer. That other scraper was making too much of a vibration in the hive. A full frame there. And another one side filled there. It's a little bit too much for this particular tiny colony. But they made it through, so that's good. Tiny little patch of brood there. Don't really need to look at it that carefully, but I like to, on these smaller colonies, I like to check it out, see what the queen's up to. I can see this queen has actually, she's got a damaged wing. You can see her one wing is kind of off to the side. She's not 100%. So she'll need to be replaced. So I'll mark this colony. for a replacement. She is laying though, so that's good. If she makes it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give him that one side filled. And another half filled here. Right to the outside. And then we'll grab that empty frame from the other hive that we pulled out. And we'll drop it right in here. So we got one frame a little closer to, it's a small colony, so we don't want them to get stranded, so we want to keep some of that feed closer to them. And then give them an empty frame in between there, so once they empty that frame, then we can, once they empty that frame, then they have one empty frame there. There'll already be a 3 or 4 frame colony by that point, if they make it that far. And then she has room on that empty frame, and then they have another frame of feed. So on this one, that outside frame was completely empty. Small patch here of feed on this one. Very small patch of feed on this one. Looks like they're preparing this to be used. There she is with that nice green dot on her. Just getting to work. There's a small patch there. In these smaller colonies, we had such rough weather, so the bigger ones will have carried a nice patch of brood through, but the smaller ones are basically nearly doing a full restart after all that cold weather. So because this one was a little short, I'm taking that full frame of feed on the other side, just dropping it right into the end here. And that'll sustain them for a week or two. And of course, we'll be checking back periodically and making sure that they have some feed. I like to splash them with a little bit of liquid feed rather than having them full up. Leave them the space and then splash them the liquid feed so they can use it immediately or put it where they want around the brood. And then for emergency purposes or when they get into overdrive, then they can draw on that full frame of feed there. So we'll be splashing them with the liquid feed, just a small amount. I use those 3 kg pails, which is about 2.5 liters or so, and that tends to sustain them. They go through one of those every 5 to 7 days, so if I do one every week and a half or so, then I'm sure they're not plugging up the brood nest. But I'm also sure that they have enough feed so they can grow at a good pace. So these ones I'll give them, because they've taken down that global patty so quickly, I'll give them a full global. And they come up through the bars and they kind of make that pattern there. So you can tell they're actually eating on it. I don't want them to fall behind, so I just kind of make sure they have, right now at this point with the warm weather coming in, we're giving them 2 pounds, or I think it's about 2 pounds. I don't know the exact weight of those patties. I think they're a pound a piece. Just by watching the entrance on this one, I can see that one side's definitely stronger than the other. lot of smoke here. Another thing that I'm doing, and I think I'll have to do it on this one, is making sure that the colonies themselves are towards the middle of the box, so they're sharing that middle heat. What happens, and what I've seen, or what I saw on the weekend, was some of those colonies, they were smaller, but they made their way kind of over here into this corner of the box, and they didn't make it through that cold spell. And the reason they didn't make it through that cold spell is because they weren't all the way in the middle. 2 frames or 3 frames right in the middle of the box can easily get through that cold spell, but when they separate like that, then you have some issues. This frame has no feed on it. They're coming at me now. So knowing that they're kind of moved over, I'm just going to rearrange them here. Actually a good amount of bees in there. See that queen there? Beauty. One of mine from last year. So a lot of these colonies as well, unfortunately I didn't mark them, the ones that were, but actually these smaller ones will be some of my late splits as well. Actually, there's got some pack in there. It's got some weight to it. So put this one in here. Packing some pollen substitute into these cells here. The smoker doesn't want to, not using it enough. Didn't put enough. It's staying lit, but it's just not smoking as well as I'd like. Usually I put a lot more rolled up cardboard in there. If you roll it nice and tight, that cardboard will smoke for a long time. I mean, now it's smoking as well, but just because I'm using it as much as I maybe should because they're coming at me. It keeps losing a little bit of juice. Oh, that's really nice. Patch of brood on there. She's laying on this side. It's a little bit patchy on this side, but that's that cold weather's outside the nest, but the queen is laying out here, so she's definitely working to expand now. And if we can maintain above freezing nighttime temperatures, she'll be doing really well. She'll have 3 frames. I don't need to check back this direction just because I know that typically they'll lay towards the middle of the hive, so she'll start laying here in the first frame from the middle, so frame 5 I guess if you're looking from the outside, and then she'll work her way over. She'll start on the inside of this frame and she'll work her way over. And typically you see 4 frames and then 1 frame of feed, and then in the second box you see 3 frames and 1 or 2 frames of feed, 3 or 4 frames of brood. And you'll see I'm putting these apivar strips back into the hive. When I first put them in, I just dropped them into the colony without disturbing the colony. But now that the weather's warmed up a little bit more so that I can put them in properly, I do want to drop them down into the colony so I'm not always pulling them out every time I inspect. And you could, I turned this around, but you can see it was actually on this way. And you can actually tell just by looking at the patties which side is a stronger colony. So we'll give them a half patty of each. And this feeder's pretty much empty, so take that off. Thought they'd be stinging my hands a little bit more. You'll often see me wearing gloves in my videos. I'm not ashamed to wear gloves. I don't care to get stung. I'm not afraid to get stung, and when I'm working queens and things like that, you'll typically see me gloveless because that's precision work. Often I'm working the hives and I'm working quickly because, like you heard or you might not have heard, is Kayla's got a burger ready for me, and this is a beauty. So we'll get them down. Get some of that fur comb off of there. You can always tell when you get a bee in there because they come out with a vengeance. A little bit of feed on that one. Whole frame full. Move that to the outside. A little bit of feed. Queen will actually probably be on this frame. Nope, she's not working there yet, but she will this week. There's a lot of brood on this one. There's the queen. Didn't mark this one actually. She's just wandering up there. It's a little bit patchy, but you know, we've had some rough weather. I can't falter for it. these double nucs, because they have the divider in them, they do get a little bit tight. And it's a good practice always to do it, but especially on these, is to pull it slowly out from the outside frame first, and then when you're going through, just give them a little kick off like that before pulling out the rest of the frames. That way you don't accidentally squish too many bees or the queen or anything like that. So this is a frame pack, jam packed with feed. Small amount of feed on that one, and we'll see two frames of brood here again. So it's the equivalent of 4 frames of brood, or 4 frames with brood. And she's working away. Yeah, that's really nice. So these will hatch out probably in the next week and fill up this box nicely. And they'll be ready for, in a week or two, it'll be of good weather, they'll be ready for a little bit of extra space. And that outside frame wasn't quite full, so I'm going to put that more towards the middle here and put the full second frame out to the outside edge, just giving that queen a little bit more room to lay in there, but still making sure that they have ample feed in the vicinity of the colony. This colony itself wouldn't be at risk of starvation with its size. They won't get stranded at one end of the box, so we give them as much room as we can to get moving and get that ape of our strip back in there. Give this one two full things of patty. They've pretty much devoured everything I gave them. So I've taken down 1 pound of patty, and we'll give them 2 more. And this is key to our spring success, because those of you who have watched some of my videos here, that you can see that we don't have a heck of a lot of trees around here for them to get that early pollen off of. So we give them the supplement. Well, that's it for me tonight. It's getting a little bit late, and I'm going to go inside and get that burger. Bees are not impressed right now, and I have no interest in working them further. One of the bonuses of not having too terribly many hives yet at this point. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to the channel, and be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And if you're looking to connect a little bit further than on the comments below, I don't always get notifications when, after I've replied to a comment and somebody replies back. YouTube doesn't notify me, so unless I'm diligent and go back and check, that might be the reason why you're not getting a further response from me on your comments there. But definitely make your way over to, I started a new Facebook page called Beekeeping in Canada, which will be more dedicated to, rather than our business page or my personal page, it'll be more dedicated to beekeeping on the level of a beekeeper, and things that maybe people not beekeepers might not be interested in, and that way I can keep our business page a little bit more focused on the sale of honey and things like that, and those who want to connect with beekeeping on a further level can definitely make their way over to our dedicated page called Beekeeping in Canada. I'd like to see you there. I'd like to chat with you further through the inbox there. I'll be sharing all of my YouTube videos through to that Facebook page as well. So if you're on Facebook more than YouTube, that's definitely a place to find content moving forward. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.